veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no, I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capping space. I won't stop till I hear him say,
Man, it's Put a Ring on It, Season 4, Episode 3, Will You Hold My Baggage? How's everybody doing tonight? How are you doing over there?
Hey, this my hey. It's my first time doing this episode, this series this season. Yes. So it's been very interesting thus far, and episode 3 was extremely interesting. We saw a lot in that episode.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I will say, I totally agree with you. This, I've been watching. I really was, looking forward to this couple, Dunbar and Chance, because they're very, I think they're both very charismatic people. They obviously look very good together physically, and you could tell from day one, from the first episode, there was a lot going on underneath the surface. So you caught up and you watched all 3 episodes. What did you think? Just not going into this one right now, but just going back to the first 2. What did you think of this couple?
Well, yeah, like you said, very attractive couple. But early on, the doctor was saying that, Dunbar has some controlling things about him. She has some controlling things about her as well. Chance, her name is Chance, and I think they're trying to, they're feeding each other in the wrong way, and it's causing an imbalance. You can't have 2 people trying to control the relationship from different aspects. And I think that's what's going on with them too. And as we see now, they're not really ready to do the work. They think they're okay when they're really not.
Right. Hey there, Ro team member. How you doing? Good to see you. You can sit back and relax tonight.
Yeah, I want to say to Roro, your spot's still here. Come on, join us whenever you feel like it. Thanks for filling in the last two episodes. But
thank you so much. She's been wonderful. Like we said, she's a natural, but it does take a lot of energy and effort to do this. I think maybe it looks easier than it is. I would say that, and maybe for some it's real easy. Maybe they just do it. They wake up in the morning, they jump on the, go live or whatever. But it takes a little work, a little preparation, and a lot of heart. But I'm sorry, what was the last thing you were saying about Dunbar and Chance, though, dear?
Yeah, I was just saying that they both have controlling issues, and I don't think they really wanted to do the work that needed to be done, and that's based off fear, in my opinion. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Well, and what did you think? So, okay, we have 2 other couples. You got Jasha and Joya. Also, all the couples look good together. Jasha and Joya, and you've got Ricky and Catherine. What did you think of those 2 couples? Also.
Yeah, I think that what's the bigger guy? His name, the bigger guy with the beard.
That's Jasha.
Yeah. I think he's a pretty cool guy. Pretty laid back. They look good together. I think he's much more open to the process. He's going to let the process, run its course. He's going to participate in what he needs to participate in. And I think the other 2, this parenting thing with them, is a bone of contention. It has been a bone of contention since the first episode. And it would be a bone of contention for me if you flip that around, and my wife was staying at her ex-husband's house overnight while he ran the street or whatever. That wouldn't be a good look for me.
I think it seemed like if they said in the first episode, and I could be wrong, but I thought they said she was working, so it made me wonder. I don't know if she's a nurse. I don't know if she's a dancer. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like she worked late hours, and a lot of people do. Not trying to be funny either. A lot of people do work late hours or work a third shift where they start work 9, 10, 11 o'clock, and they work overnight. So
We gotta
Yeah.
bring the kids. We gotta bring the kids to my house.
That's what I was gonna say though. That's the other part of it is like, why not bring the kids over there? I don't
Mhm.
know. What's the problem with that?
Right. Maybe the underlining thing that they're not discussing is maybe his girlfriend or fiance didn't want the child there. Maybe they're not
Mm,
discussing that.
that could be. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. And thank you for the thumbs up. Hey, Monique King. Yeah, thumbs up. Happy Monday. Up Monday? Is the day Tuesday?
Today is Tuesday. Monique was drinking last night.
Monique, she is such a busy lady. So we're gonna give her a pass today. We're gonna give her a pass. But thank you for coming in and taking over the moderating. I appreciate it so much, dear. You are more. I really appreciate you. But let's go ahead and get into these notes and see what's going on here. It's a lot. It's a lot. It was
Mm.
packed episode. So we open up with Dunbar in a serious one-on-one talking to Dr. Stacy. She's come over to the house, over to the home to visit them, and she's from last episode, she was talking to both of them. But when it gets serious and Dunbar wants to talk, she does ask Chance if she would give them some privacy so they can talk. And Dunbar is literally, I mean, like he is basically weeping. He is weeping, like his
Mhm.
red, the tears are falling down his face. And I mean, I felt like when I saw it, like from last week to this week, it made me want to weep because I really, whenever I see a man, it's rare that you see a black man weeping publicly. Um,
Mhm.
it hurt my heart. Like I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Did somebody pass away? What's really going on? But then he reveals to the doctor that he struggles with anger, depression, and anxiety. He says that he is afraid because other women in the past have left him when he's shown this side of him, and that he's afraid that Chance will leave him too.
Mhm. Yeah, and I just said the word fear, did I not? And
Yep.
so it has a lot to do with the way these two respond to each other, and they're controlling the anger, the anxiety, those kind of things that they don't depression. Those things don't disappear overnight.
Mm-mm.
Okay, you
Nope.
have to work on those things. Sometimes those things take years.
Mm-hmm.
Years. It depends on the extent of your trauma. But them things can take years. And according to Dunbar, he watched his stepfather do things to his mom. You
Yes,
know,
yes, that's what I was gonna say next. Yes, he watched his stepfather. He says that his stepfather brought home his anger from his job, from work, and took it out on his mom. And can you imagine being a little boy growing up in a household and you're too young and too little to protect your own mom, and this man is doing whatever. They didn't get into the details, and we can't do it here, but whatever it was, whether it's verbal, physical, whatever, it was a lot. It was a lot. And
mm,
he said subsequently he learned to fight. He learned to
right?
fight. Hmm.
And he said it made him an angry football player and an angry, boyfriend and angry everything. I mean, it's great on the football field. You can't
Hmm.
carry that into your personal life, you know.
Mm-mm.
So, which is what he was doing, and so because of that, he fears now when he shows his true self. Because until you deal with that stuff, Aubrey, that stuff is your true self. So if he shows his true self, Chance may leave him, and that's what he's afraid of.
Wow. Yeah, that part of him. I feel like that's a part of him. Yes. It's not all of who he is. The anger is not all of who he is, but you're right, though. It could be overwhelming. We don't know. Well, I will say this. I guess we apparently do know because just based on what he's saying, if you're going to put two and two together, it sounds like he's been dealing with this for a long time, an extended period of time. If girlfriends are leaving him,
Long
if
time. Yep.
if more than one has left him, it just sounds like it's been going on. So yeah, so like it's one thing to be sad for a day or two or have a mood, something happens at work or wherever, and you're upset or you're sad, but ongoing depression, that's when it goes on. They tell you, doctors will tell you, if it goes on more than 2 weeks, you need to see a professional about it. You need to see a
Yeah.
professional, and you may need to sit down and talk to someone. You may need medication. You may need both. You may need therapy, counseling, and medication, because sometimes it's a chemical imbalance literally in some people, and that's okay. It's not anything to be stigmatizing anybody, but we know that sometimes in our community it does become a stigma.
Yeah, and to just come out crying the way he did, the way he came out just bawling uncontrollably, and that those cries, that crying came from his gut, came from his heart, which means his soul is hurting. You know, he's been carrying this stuff around. You know, so I really felt for him when he started, you know, crying like that. I said, "Wow, he's been holding this stuff in, and now he feel like it has to come out." But just because he had a hard cry does not mean he's healed.
No, it just means like it might have been cathartic for him in that moment. You're right. Maybe that's well, we get to that a little bit later when we talk about what happens later on. You want to read the comment there on the screen, or
Okay, it says, it's real for real. How can you love someone enough to want to marry them, but don't trust them enough to share your serious problems with? It's a good question.
that's an excellent question, Roro. That's an excellent question. Right, right. And yeah, she also says it sounds like he can't control it. No, it doesn't seem like he can control it because I'm willing to bet if he's lost serious girlfriends that he said that he was in love with before, this isn't the first woman that he's loved. It
Mm-mm.
has to be, something that's been ongoing. And you're right, he cannot control it on his own. So, but we're gonna get there about that on his own. We're gonna come along and get to that too. But so as we move on, we're at the couple session, and let's see. Wait a minute, did I do that right? I'm sorry. Yeah, we move on. So we're at the couple session, and Dunbar and Chance, of course, are missing. They're the first we thought they were late, but then they're just actually missing. So we move on to the other couples. Ricky admits that his date with Sheila was a good one. And Catherine says that the date wasn't covered up very much. So she had a little piece of a dress, not a full dress, but like a t-shirt dress. Uh, and Ricky says that they talked about his issues while on the date. He talked with this young lady about his issues with Catherine about co-parenting, and the young lady Sheila, she says that she would be fine with his style.
Mm. And what's interesting about that is his current girlfriend, I can't remember her name at the moment.
Catherine.
Um Catherine. Catherine said, she laughed and said, "Oh, she sounds like I did in the beginning." You know,
Yep.
okay. I said the same thing, but then it kept happening. And it's just a prime example, Aubrey, that you have to tell people, this is what I want. I don't like this. You have to Don't expect people to figure out what you're thinking. Don't expect people to figure out what's bothering you.
Right. Keep talking. Keep
Yeah.
ranting while I go get the power cord. I forgot.
No.
But
Okay.
keep ranting. Okay.
Okay. Don't expect people to figure out what's bothering you, or figure out what you need to talk about. You have to literally let people know, because we'll let stuff go thinking, well, he wouldn't like it done to him, or she wouldn't like it done to them, so they'll figure it out and stop on their own. People tend not to do that. If you don't say anything, they're going to figure you're okay with it, and they're going to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it until you get to a breaking point. Then they'll say, "You never said nothing. I didn't know it was bothering you. What's the problem?" You know. So we can't let it linger like that. If she let it linger too long before, I guess, she exploded about it. You know. Did you find your power cord yet? I don't know where Aubrey is with this power cord, but you know.
Get it in here. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Okay. But that's not the way I would conduct myself with that. You have to be very open and honest. It's like Roro just said about Dunbar and Chance, not trusting somebody to discuss problems with. How can you trust them to marry you? If you're going to trust somebody with your heart, which is the most delicate thing that we have to offer.
That
If
sure
we're going
is.
to if we're going to trust somebody with that, we have to be able to trust them. We have to be able to be open and honest with them, tell them what we expect, what our expectations are. Because if we
Mm,
don't, whatever you don't say and state, you accept.
mm. Yeah. That's so true. That is so true. I only caught bits and pieces as I went to get the power cord. I don't know how I started this without the power cord, but I did. But so excuse me, guys. But yeah, you know what? I absolutely got the sense that she is not properly communicating. She's lacking. And, you know, she says it. She says it. We're going to talk about that later on. She literally says that she thinks, I'll just say it right now. She literally says later on that she says, well, you know, I think it's normal. It's common sense to know what's respectful and what's not, but everybody's different. This is the thing. Everybody is different. And I do get the sense that this guy, Ricky, he's like, he's kind of like out there. He's real open and he's real laid back. So he doesn't really look at it the same way that she does. But then I think also he hasn't put himself in her shoes either.
That's the thing. If it was the reverse, he would have an issue with it.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, he would.
You know, yeah, he would see. He would see it right away.
He would see it. He would see it. If his girl, just think for a minute, if his girl said, oh yeah, I got to go by my exes so I can watch our children because he's working the midnight shift and I'm asleep over. Please, you think you would let her out the door? No way.
Right. That's not going down. So, you know, yeah, he got to be able to see and understand that. But that's the thing I was just saying while you was looking for the power cord. You know, when you see things and you want to discuss it then. Don't let it linger hoping the person figures it out. They're not going to figure it out. You have to say something.
You got to say something in the moment or shortly thereafter, you know, within reasonable time, because let's say 24 hours, you know, within 24 hours, you know, maybe if it happened at one time and you thought that was a one-time thing. Hey, Kia, good to see you. Kia does a lot of our graphics, by the way, guys. So check her. She has her channel on YouTube and she's also on Instagram under author Kia Simone. Okay. Yeah, you know, maybe if it happened one time, but if she knew it was going to be ongoing, and I don't know whether she knew this or not, but I would have definitely told him, no, these kids need to come over here. Like, are you serious? Really?
Right. And that's why I was saying before, it may be some underlying current where she may not have wanted his child there for some reason.
The mother, the ex-wife.
Either her or Catherine.
Okay. That's possible.
That may be the elephant in the room they're not discussing.
Okay.
Because that's a simple fix. Bring the children to our house. What's so complicated about that?
It is. It really is. Right. That's true. Dr. Stacy does like that his date at the end. She says that she feels like his date did bring them closer because I guess they did have a chance to chat about it. So she liked that. She also asked Ricky if he wants another date with Sheila. Ricky waffles because he says, you know, if he was a single man, it would be no question, which I was like, okay, so basically you want another date. So he waffles before finally saying yes after the doctor explained to him what the whole saying yes thing is and that he needs to follow this through. So he went ahead and he said yes to another date with her, right?
Yeah. And I think instead of thinking about the process in the back of their mind, they focus too much on the dates to think, I don't want to hurt, you know, my significant other. Right. Because if I go on a second or third date, that means we're developing a connection and it's going to hurt my significant other. And I don't want to do that. So it causes the conflict. And I get that's what the doctor's looking for. How do you deal with the conflict if it arises?
Right. I'm sorry for laughing while you were speaking, but I couldn't help it. I saw Monique. She says there's too many people in that house already. Yeah, we talked about that on a previous episode that, you know, he's got like the mother, father, his sister, and her 2-3 kids, and a brother that comes over a lot. It's a lot going on at that house. So who knows?
Right.
You know? No, not any longer. Hey, Wes from Stay Tuned. Stay Tuned Reviews has a wonderful channel here also on YouTube. Yes, you right, Ellen. Tell them join the membership. Right. But yeah, you know, you're right. I think we see that, Alex. Don't we see that every season that the men and the women try to say no to the dates because they're trying to worry about what their significant other is going to say.
Right. They're trying not to hurt them, whether they want to go on a second date or not. And many times they do want a second date. And you notice when the doctor asking a question, they're peeking over to see what the significant
Yes,
other, the
yes.
reaction.
They looking out the side of their eyes, or they even just turn their head all the way and look and say, "Well, what is she? Well, let me see her expression." And of course, nobody's going to be excited that the man or the woman, whoever wants a second date, she wasn't thrilled, but she didn't say much. So we'll see what happens next week, though, because that's going to be interesting. It looks like next week, his date is going to get a lot more familiar with him and more comfortable. We're going to
Right.
see. But moving on to Jasha's date had a nice vibe. He says he liked that she was into meditation and the chakras and the whole new ageness of it all. And that he loved that she didn't want to start having babies right now. He loved that because she's only just turned 30 and she's fresh and young, and she ain't looking at her biological clock just yet, but it's ticking underneath all that 30. She's going tick tock, tick tock, but she just don't hear it yet. See, these new age women, they don't be hearing the clock till they get to 35, 36, 37. Then they be like, ooh, I waited so long. But okay. But but he says that Jasha says that he doesn't want a second date with her after all the good things about her. He said because the energy wasn't just quite right, like his woman really brings that energy, and also his woman is very seductive. So he wants a seductress. What did you think?
So he said, what got my woman is that the way she looked at me, the energy we felt when she looked at me, and how we felt and was drawn to one another. He didn't feel that with his date. Okay. The interesting thing is, what if he had felt that? Then what? Because she said, "Oh, I'm relieved he don't want another date." So I have to ask the doctor, what is the real purpose of the dating other people? There's other exercises that they can do, because the dating thing is not going to work if they're going to always confer with the significant other whether they should have another date or not, or scared to hurt them or whatever. Find some other exercises to do, because the dating thing is just not going to work.
That's true. Yeah, Kia Simone's got some good points out there in the chat, girl. Go ahead with your bad self. All right, everybody wants to know, where have you been, girl? Where have you been? So Joy is relieved about him not wanting a second date. She takes a sigh of relief and she's like, okay, whew, save for another date. And Dr. Stacy says that the women are going on dates this week with their ex. And all the two women, they're like, oh, they're looking around. But then she explains that because she's saying the reason why is that any triggers must be addressed in order for them to move forward. But also that Jasha and Joya's ex did not want to do the date, so they're off the hook, except that they will be doing a home visit from Dr. Stacy, right?
Right. Because there's some things that just don't need revisiting.
Yeah, and I think the thing seemed to be going on was that the specific exes that the show wanted were their actual partners, their ex-spouses. And the spouses, as Dr. Stacy pointed out, they don't want to do anything to mess up that co-parenting that's going so well, so they're going to leave that alone.
Right.
Only Catherine's ex is coming, but also, Catherine and also Ricky's too, because it ended up being, it's not just a girls' date; it was going to be, couples date. So Joya and Jasha will do a session with the doctor. And we move on to Ricky and Catherine are waiting for their dates to come. His ex-wife comes to the door. She gives a great big hug to his girl, Catherine. And
they're very familiar with one another. Very familiar.
They seem to be familiar, and they got that Southern hospitality. So they hugged each other. She hugged her ex-husband, and they chatted a while before they went out. And the three of them chatted before he and his ex left. Okay, so now we see we're in the car with Dr. Stacy. She is driving and she's doing this hands-free call to Dunbar and Chance to find out what's going on. We see the producers later. They're in a confessional, Dunbar and Chance, with the producer, and the producer is asking them why they missed their session. They give some weak half-arsed excuses, but we'll get to them. We'll come back to them a little bit later. We'll circle back.
Yeah. I want to ask you something, Aubrey, in the chat. Because when Catherine, what's his name? Kevin? What's his name? Catherine's fiance?
He's Ricky.
Ricky,
like your
right?
brother. Like your brother.
Ricky, yeah. When Ricky ex showed up, When she was in her confessional, she said, although Ricky and I are divorced, that is my very best friend. Right. And I want to ask you or the ladies in the chat, how would you guys feel if an ex-wife or an ex-girlfriend, ex-fiance that your current fiance had a child with was saying, that is my very best friend? How would you guys feel about that?
Wow, that's a good question. Because you're talking about Ricky's ex-wife, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she did. She did say that. I'm gonna let go ahead. Roro, Monique, Ellen, Kia. What do you think? How would you feel if your significant other, if his ex-wife or woman said that that's still her best friend and that's your man? How would you feel about that? Tell us why they're putting in the chat how they feel. Would they like it? Would they be okay with it? Just put okay or not okay. How about that? How would you feel about it if your woman, if her ex was still her best friend?
Yeah, personally, I wouldn't like it. I'm not saying something would happen or something would go on, but there's certain places, that you want to hold with your significant other. Certain places you want to hold. You want to be her best friend. You want to be her buddy. Because the thing is that if you're too serious about the relationships, one thing I learned about life, don't take yourself too serious. So you have to really be friends. And when you friends, that means you talk about everything, you do everything together. Nothing's inhibited, everything's uninhibited when you're friends. So, but sometimes we get into these relationships and we don't want to mess things up. So we're not friends. It's almost like a business arrangement. We become structured and rigid because we don't want to mess nothing up. Because if I'm open and honest like a friend would be, it may rub you the wrong way or something like that. So I just think that somebody on the outside who's an ex or whatever, that's your very, very best friend. Not saying something can happen, but it's definitely some room there for something to happen.
Yeah, the chat is agreeing with you. I don't know if you seen it. I know you were talking. Kia was saying we can. She's saying, well, wait a minute. Kia starts off. She said she would have to be replaced. I'm your new best friend. Doggone it.
Right.
And she said, yeah,
exactly.
They can be cool, but we're not using besties and best friends. It's boundaries. I know that's
Right.
right. You almost got me swearing up in here.
Right.
Right.
Because
Monique,
best friend. Monique said what?
And Monique King said, didn't she cheat on Ricky? We're not playing those games. Yeah, right. Somebody cheated on somebody. They did for them to be divorced. But go ahead.
Yes, somebody cheated on somebody, And see, and when you're doing this, we bestie stuff and you're staying over at the house. I mean, how soon would it be before something happens? And I didn't know. It just happened. We wasn't doing anything. We just minded our own business and it just happened. It's like you're leaving too much wiggle room there for something to go on. And I think Catherine has to really step in and really put her foot down on some of this stuff. Now she can still be cordial with the young lady. You see the big hug. They're very familiar with one another, but there's certain things where she has to put her foot down about, because even Ricky's ex said, I do understand. I am a woman, so I get where she's coming from. So if you understand and get where she's coming from, you got to back off a little bit.
Right. Because she was saying that like I was like, okay, this whole thing about him sleeping over, and then too her calling any time of day or night in the wee hours of the night and in the morning. See, first of all, you're gonna get yourself cussed out by me because we ain't playing them games. Like you said, we just not playing those games. Why are you calling over here? Do you need the police? Do you need a doctor? Call 911. Because why are you calling over here for every little thing? Because you can see that, like, sometimes some women and even men will use the child between them as like a blocker for the new person in their significant their ex's relationship. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
That has kind of, to me, that has blocker on it. The sleeping over, having him sleep over to her house, that's blockerish. And then the calling him anytime, like in the wee hours of the morning for little stuff like, okay, he got the sniffles. Well, yeah, now if he cuts a hand or an arm or a finger off, yeah, you can call him. But other than that, all this like the little sniffles and the normal things that toddlers or young children get all the time, colds, coughs, or whatever, use your home remedy. If it's bad enough, take them to the pediatrician or the doctor the next day, or take them to the emergency that night. But why you got to be calling over here all the time for little stuff?
Yeah.
That's you just being blockerish as a woman.
Yep. That, and you trying to throw a wrench in my new relationship. That's what you're trying to do.
That's what it is.
Because
wait a minute, let me just say this. Kind of like going back to our other show we cover, Ready to Love, kind of like how James, Cynthia's ex, her children's father, how he's blocking her in her current relationships now.
Yeah. That, like that part.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've spoken to friends. Had friends of mine, relatives who exes will call, 2, 3 in the morning. They in bed with their woman, and your ex calling, oh, get over here. He has an earache. Earache? Well, listen, put some drops in his ear. Whatever. Right. You got to come now, and all this nonsense is like, I've seen this stuff, and you're blocking because you still harboring feelings for this person. You don't want to see them happy.
Right.
And you're doing everything you can to get this other person to leave.
That's it. And you're gonna do a good job of it, because somebody calling your man at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning and you laying up in the bed with them, or your husband, that's not gonna work. That is not gonna work. No, sir.
Not gonna work.
Not gonna work. That's not gonna be. We not gonna be together for too long. But okay. So I was just saying, yeah, with Ricky, when he was in his confessional, it's interesting to me that he just keeps saying that he doesn't see anything wrong or disrespectful. And I said, I call BS. Sleeping over to the ex is not acceptable. It's not normal, and it's not cool. Mm-hmm. Now you must be thinking you Will and Jada or something like that, and his ex. But everybody not into open relationships. Just know that.
Right.
You know, if you're gonna love me, you're gonna love me, but you're not gonna be loving me and her at the same time. Yeah,
you're not gonna be having any entanglements.
Right. We're not gonna be dealing with entanglements. Entangle your way on up out of here. So and the his ex-wife, to be fair, she admits to hitting him up at all kind of hours. We talked about that. Also inappropriate. And so now we drop by Jasha and Joya's crib with Dr. Stacy over there to talk to them, to do the work. Dr. Stacy asked Joya, the lady, why is it important for her to have another child? And Joya explains that she's always wanted her son to have a sibling, be it a brother or a little sister, and that, of course, marriage first is required and important to her. She wants to be married to Jasha, and then she wants to have a child. And because she's already 37, she needs this to happen, the marriage to happen soon, within a year, and then shortly after that, to them to start trying for a baby. Jasha talks about. Go ahead. What were your thoughts about that? And then we'll get to the next part of it.
Well, that's a serious sticking point, because Jasha doesn't seem interested in a child right now. And that's a serious problem. She could try to sugarcoat it or look past it, or I'm gonna convince him to have one, or if I sleep with him long enough, once I'm pregnant, he knows I'm going to keep it, or whatever. You trick him into whatever. He's really not interested at this point in his life. And if that's what you really want, because you're getting up close to that 40 ball, okay, then you got some decisions to make. Honestly, you really got to make some honest decisions. See, people get so caught up sometime in what they want that they don't focus on reality, the reality of the situation that you're in. Forget about what you want at the moment. Think about what you're in.
Oh, we got some good comments out. I'm gonna have to back up just for a second. I love what you just said, Alex. But Monique, going back to our what we just got off of, she says that her dad's ex-wife used to do that. I guess the calling all times of day and night, and said that her mom answered one time and said, "Hey, we busy," and added a couple of moans and groans to it, and oh God, and she never did that. And I know that's right. That sounds like okay, all right. Don't call here no more. Right. And then Kia's saying also to this point of, it sounds for him meaning Ricky, it's more to it than that. For whatever reason, he wants to be at the ex's house. That's a good point. Maybe because his house so crowded. Maybe he has peace and quiet over her house. I guess.
Maybe he has peace and quiet, or just a peace.
See, we don't know, and that's what I'm saying. It all sounds so crazy. And so back to where we left off at. I'm going to move forward then again. Back to Joya. Yeah, like she's at that age, and you're right. It's kind of, to me, it's kind of like it's an obvious thing that unless he just changes his mind within the next 6 months or whatever, which I don't see that really happening. These two don't really belong together, because what she wants is not in alignment with what he wants, and what he wants is not in alignment with what she wants. And for me as a woman, that would be too serious of an obstacle to overcome. Like me, I'm not giving up the children that I want to have for you who doesn't want to have children right now. I'm not doing it. So it just seems like that's not going to work out. But we'll see. The doctor asked him to talk about his growth after his divorce. And she also asked him, I thought this was really interesting because he talked about, I didn't realize in the first 2 episodes, we didn't know that he had been married and had a child himself, because I thought he didn't have any children. So that kind of explains things. He has an ex-wife who has now remarried. And so his child or daughter has a bonus dad. And so she asked him, how did he feel about that? That his child was in the home, in this new home with her new bonus dad. And that he gets to see this child every day. And I thought that was an excellent question, because I don't think he could possibly feel that great about it. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking he might be a little scarred, Aubrey, because we get into these things, and we build a family, and we want to stay in the house with our family and grow. And then one day you wake up and you on the outside looking in, and that's very painful. Okay. So he's like, I don't want to risk going through this again. Let's say I have a child with Joya. Okay. Relationship don't work out.
Right.
Now I'm going through this again. So that's really something to think about. It might be in the back of his mind.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think it absolutely is. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, dang, that couldn't be too easy for him to deal with. And like you said, he probably has to be thinking about, well, what if things don't work out? Kind of scarred from all of that, from a divorce, kind of scarred from all of that.
Because with a child, unless you're just totally irresponsible and want to be a hole or whatever, you're always going to be part of that person's life because you'll have a child together. So you got to see each other one way or the other if you're going to be a responsible parent. And and to have it within 2 households, one household is enough, but 2 or 3, then it becomes very, very difficult and taxing emotionally
and financially.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, so we move on back to Ricky's house now. That's the one that got everybody living with him. I'm gonna call her Cat. I'm gonna start calling her Cat now. Cat is Catherine, y'all, but Catherine is just taxing my tongue right now. Cat was looking really good. She was ready for her day. She had the white toenail polish on, and when they opened the door, I was just shocked that Uncle, cousin, father Corey was at the door. Because Corey, like a good almost 20 years older than her. And I'm like, man, okay. Like she was dating this guy when she was only 20. Like, what?
Okay. Yeah. He got a good 16. He got a good 16 years on her.
16 to 20 years over her. Because I mean, he's looking a little, he's nice looking guy. I'm not trying to say he's not attractive, but he's nice looking guy. But he's clearly older than her. But anyway, they sit down and they chat. He's very friendly. Once again, I got that Southern hospitality. They invite him in. He has a lot of nice things to say about Kat, except that he does mention to Ricky that she's very stubborn. She got a stubborn streak on her, right?
Yep.
And so, but they go out. They proceed to go out, and they sit down in a little restaurant and they talk. And their date centers around her wanting to be married to Ricky and some of the issues with him being a father, and having an ex. And she has some of the same issues with him that apparently she had with Corey.
Right. That's right.
And it just
Yep.
seems like, to your point earlier, Alex, that a lot of the issues that she's having with her new man Ricky is the thing, like you said, is communication, setting out what your expectations are, talking about it in the moment, not letting things build up to the point where you do get like as Corey was describing her as having this explosive temper, which I can see that being possible. But you can't allow that to happen. You just need to catch things and be willing, both parties, because I don't know sometimes if it's not her, if it's Ricky, or both of them having to be willing to talk about things in the moment, or either wait and set aside a time and say, you know what, tomorrow after work or before work or whatever, we're going to set aside, we're going to carve out this 30 minutes or hour where we can have a serious discussion about what's going on here, because I'm not happy. I'm not happy with this.
Yeah. And what is it about people sometimes where they just, because like you said, her and Corey had the same issue. He had a child, he had an ex, they were going through that same issue. Now she has Ricky, she's going through the same issue again. And you have to wonder sometimes, what is it about people where they attract the same type of people that they have issues with? But they keep
Yeah.
attracting that same type,
Yeah, that's a
you
good
know?
that's a good point. That's a good point. Because I was thinking that too. I was like, well, she's young, she's pretty, she seems very intelligent, very polished. Um, she could possibly meet maybe somebody, or she's does things don't work out with this guy. Maybe next time go for meeting somebody that is a single man without children. But I think I don't know. You're right. I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one, because that's what I would think. But you know what? She's also down in Atlanta, and from what I understand, Atlanta ain't no joke. It's hard to find any kind of piece of a man down there.
Yeah, the pickings are very slim. Let's
Pickens
say
are
that.
slim, because you got, yeah. We'll say that and leave that alone.
But
Okay.
as Kimberly said on the last show, our good friend Kimberly Reviews,
Hmm.
she said she's made a concerted effort at this point in her life to date men without any children, because she's done that. And now she understands why she don't want to do it and what she don't want. And all her efforts are put toward men without children. Okay. So
Right.
she's not going to attract the same type of guy.
Hmm.
That's not
That's
where her energies lie.
that's it. That's a good point. That's a good point. But she is in a different geographic location.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's just sometimes I really say this now, and I know people we would all like to think that every person has an equal opportunity to meet a guy of a certain standing, a guy of a certain caliber. But sometimes where you live at plays a huge role in that.
Proximity is huge. Very
Hmm.
powerful. Who has the most access to you? You
Roro
know.
said, and sometimes we have to broaden our horizons too. Sometimes we have to look beyond what our general type is, and look maybe even outside of our race. That's what I say. But
Yeah.
Roro has a good point. She says that Catherine does seem insecure and willing to put up with nonsense. Yeah, because
Mm.
when I look at it, I was just thinking about this. It's not only the baby, or the co-parenting issues, but I thought about it too. It's also, she seemed like she was very turned off by his living arrangements, yet she lives in the house with all these people.
Right.
She lives in the house
Right.
with all these people. So, like, while you turned off by it, I'm trying to figure out, why do you continue to do that to yourself?
And what's going on in his family? Everybody got to live with them. There's some issues going on there.
It's something. We go, you know what they give us? I think it's almost like Married at First Sight. They give us information piece by piece, and as hopefully as we get to the before the reunion, we'll know a little bit more about why everybody's living in that house like that. But I mean, it happens, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think everybody has to be in agreement, and I'm not sure what happened to Catherine, why she had to move in with him in the first place, what financial issues were going on or what have you. But we're
But
coming down. Go ahead.
everybody should also understand. You're on a time crunch. You're welcome to come, but you got 6 months. You're welcome to come, but you got a year. You know, if they don't understand that, people will never leave.
Oh, okay. I was you saying, yeah, time restriction put on okay. Okay.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, that's it, cuz that's a thing. Like everybody can't just live there like that. That's just a lot going on. But who knows, maybe this is for some cultures and some communities, and I don't know what his background or his ancestry is. You got a lot of people that live in the South that are of Caribbean descent. And for a lot of Caribbean cultures, it's the norm for 2 and 3 and 4 generations to live in the same house, especially when it did like they had a big house. And if it were just the two of them, that's actually a lot of square footage for just two people, you know. So
Right.
I'm not gonna pick over that, but the thing about it is that she's putting up with it, and she says she's unhappy. So
Right.
okay, so let's see. We finally catch up. Dr. Stacy catches up with Dunbar and Chance, and he says that he is not depressed anymore. Ooh, all of a sudden, depression has lifted. He says that God is the reason, that he knows that if he's submissive to God, that God will remove all of these things. He and his woman, they're going to work it out, and they're not going to go forward with this show. What are your thoughts as we come to the conclusion? What are your thoughts?
I,
This is a
I,
lot.
yeah, I think she's feeding his fear. I think that Dunbar is a very scared man, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because depression don't just go away like that. It doesn't, to say you're depressed and have anxiety and anger issues one day and a few days later, I'm not depressed anymore. That's it. Now we all know that's not how that works. Okay. I think he's so afraid to lose Chance that he's putting all of his healing energies into her and not on himself. Okay. He's looking to her for healing and not from within. Because his thing is, if I have her, I'll be okay. And we know that doesn't work. Let me give you an example of that. We on the same show, put a ring on it, right? We had Otis and Charlana last season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know these two was not getting along for nothing. They could see eye to eye on nothing. If she said it was sunny outside, he said it was cloudy. We know how they behaved.
Right,
So
right.
what do you do to save the relationship? You bring a baby in to try to heal you guys. Now, I hope they're doing well. I don't wish them any ill will. But the
No,
baby, but the baby is not for you guys to heal. That's not what the baby's for. And people tend to do that all the time. They look to other people, other outward things to heal them because it's very difficult to look within and deal with your own junk. And that's not, and she's feeding that fear. But well, listen, I'm beautiful, I'm this, he should be glad to have me, so forth and so on, or whatever. And that's just feeding his fear. That's feeding his fear. What are your thoughts?
You know what? I just, it's something about, and I know a lot of people have been coming down hard on Dunbar, and I will say this: I felt like whatever he was crying about, I felt like I really, and when he said what it was at the beginning of this episode, I said yes. Finally, a chance to empower more Black men and more Black people, right? Finally, a chance to empower people to talk and have these conversations more openly, and to understand that there is nothing wrong with you just because you maybe struggle with depression, anxiety, and even anger, and that these are things that can all be channeled, they can be alleviated in your life, where that you can get them under control. You can have control over your emotions. You can have control over your mental health. You truly can, but you must be willing to work on it, right? And I was so sad. I was upset with him, but I feel like for some reason, and I don't know if we'll find out later, but there's something inside of me, just my gut instinct, that is feeling like it's more Chance that wanted this to get off the show than he did.
Yeah, I mean, you could be right, but again, the onus falls on him because
Yes.
he's the one we seen bawling out, crying, and having a breakdown. This man is broken. Okay. Now, whether he want to admit it or not and think he's healed miraculously and so forth, he's a broken individual. And just being with Chance is not going to heal that.
No.
They may get in a situation where that anger comes back, those insecurities come back, that anxiety comes back, all this stuff, the depression comes back. How is she going to deal with that in the long term? And like I said earlier, sometimes we get so caught up in what we want, because both of them are beautiful looking people, both of them.
Yes.
Okay, so we get caught up in what we want and what looks good, that we don't deal with the real issue.
Wow. Well, what did you think about this too? Because we got a little bit more about this that I want to to touch on, the doctor was saying, Dr. Stacy was saying to them, wait a minute, because she was starting to get very passionate. You could tell the doctor was very into trying to help them resolve this, work on their issues, and keep them in this group setting. And so she said, but you know what? You said that you did not trust Chance. And boy, what she want to say that for. Ooh,
Oh,
Chance bucked
yeah.
up. She said, wait a minute. He said, what? And she turns to him and she looks at him. She said, did you say those words, or is she putting words in your mouth?
He
I was
denied it.
like, ooh, yeah, he did. He did deny it. He denied it. He denied it.
He
Denied
denied
it.
it.
He said that he did not trust Chance to not leave him. What do you
Yeah.
guys think? Is that what he said, or we saw the replay? I said, I don't know. I said, you know what? You kind of playing with semantics here, sir. You kind of playing with
Yeah.
semantics.
Aubrey, we know this man from his own mouth.
He acts like he's afraid of Chance. I'm sorry, I had to say this. He acts almost like he's afraid of Chance.
Because again, it was like she looked at him like, "Did you really say that? Because if you did, I'm out. I'm out of here." You
Yeah.
know, and
Oh yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying.
here come that fear again, because he done lost a lot of women based off his emotional issues that he's having. Okay, and
Hmm.
then Chance started going at the therapist, Dr. Stacy, they're going back and forth, because what we're seeing now is some anger issues in Chance is what we're seeing. Okay, so again, they didn't want to stay and do the work. They think love conquers all. Love does not conquer all, and we all know that. If you live long enough, you know that. Okay,
Hmm.
it takes work. You may be able to get by with passion and love the first year or two, but after that, some real serious work is going to have to be done. It can still be fun and loving and passionate, but it's going to become work. And
It's going to
can you do
become
that
work.
work?
Are you willing? Are you committed? Are you willing to do the work?
Yep.
Oh, Monique King, I think she hit a home run out the park with this one.
Let me read it. It
Go ahead.
says, if he doesn't trust her with his heart, he doesn't trust her. That's it. That's all.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all. That's it.
That's it. I said earlier, giving your heart, that's the most delicate thing you have as a person. And you
Right.
put that in somebody else's hands. If you can't do that with them, then forget it.
Mm.
Forget it. And
Wow.
she looking at him like, you better not have said you don't trust me. And you see, he about to go to the bathroom on himself because
Yeah, he was. I mean, like I said, I think he fears her, and I guess I'm saying it not in a physical sense, but you're right. I just thought about something what you're saying, like what you're basically what I heard you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, is that Chance is kind of doing a game of emotional blackmail with him in some areas. Like when he said that, when she gave that look to him, like I will leave you in a heartbeat if that's what you said. That's kind of an emotional blackmail right there.
right, right. And it's bringing up stuff in him that he's dealt with before. Because here we go again. If I admit to it, and he said it,
Hmm.
okay, the videotape doesn't lie, as we all know. Okay, so
Right.
he
Undefeated.
said it,
Undefeated.
undefeated. So the question is, Chance should ask herself is, why does he feel that way? What can I do to relieve him from feeling that? Instead of being combative
Yeah.
with Dr. Stacy, which she became very combative. Your man said this. I didn't say it. And this is why I think y'all need to stay and do the work. But since y'all think love conquers all, have at it.
Right, right. Because Chance, also another thing that the doctor said was that she was betraying herself. She was like, "How am I betraying myself?" Oh, she was like, she looked like she's about ready to snatch off her earrings and put some Vaseline on and fight the doctor. I was like, my Lord, these people come on this show and they are not ready to do the work. You can just see it. It's like last year, was it last season with Otis? Otis was kind of always bucking up with the Dr. Nicole last
Yep.
year. Dr.
Yep.
Nicole, he was always bucking up with her, and I just
Yep.
felt like with Otis, I don't think he respects women anyway. I really don't. I don't think it was just Dr. Nicole. Her her style is different from this doctor, Dr. Stacy. But I would have loved to have seen how Dr. Stacy would have handled Otis, because she doesn't seem like she putting up with too much this season already. She's not putting up with a whole lot of stuff. Like you just not
Yeah.
gonna talk to her any old kind of way.
Yeah. And we know from last season, Otis was just very determined not to be like his dad, who dealt with a lot of mess from his mother, from Otis's mother. So
Right. Yeah.
he didn't want to be that guy. So he went totally left from what his father was.
He went totally the other way. Like it seemed like to me, it should have been like an somewhere in the middle, or you know what I'm saying? Because
Mm.
yeah, no, as a man, you don't have to allow women to talk to you any kind of way, but that also depends on the kind of woman that you choose in the first place. To me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
certain type of women, they're not going to talk to you crazy anyway, but they also
Right.
aren't going to allow you to talk to them crazy, which Sherlana most definitely allowed him to talk to her crazy. Like that whole scene where he had her uh eating, you know, he's eating all the food and he wouldn't allow her to eat. That was crazy. That was like Mr. from the movie The Color Purple. I was like, you got to be kidding me. We going back to slavery times?
Mm.
What? Are
Mm-hmm.
you serious? You acting like Mr. on The Color Purple? I mean, well, you know, post slavery, but you got to
and,
be kidding me. You
and,
ain't
what-
going to talk to me any kind of way. I don't
and,
care. I don't care
and what
how much I love you. I must respect you also. Go ahead.
and what we found out about both of them is after a while we figured out they get off on pushing each other's buttons. We started to
They
figure that
do.
out.
We do, yeah. It took a while, right? Because we were like, oh, okay. We felt so sorry for her, but then we saw the things that she was doing. They were both petty. They were both
Yeah.
petty back and forth. Petty, Mr. Petty and Miss Petty.
Yeah. So
But that seemed still though. I have to say this. That seemed dangerous to me because Charlana is a woman and she's a beautiful woman and she's tiny and the guy, he's a big guy. That seemed like a very dangerous game to play because that seemed like the kind of game where that could go left, and just like what Dunbar is talking about, you know, Otis would get angry, and you know what? That's not going to be good. That's not going to be good.
do you get the impression? Let me ask you this, Aubrey.
Yes.
Dunbar and Chance and the ladies in the chat. Do you get the impression that Dunbar is more enamored with having her than she is with having him? Just a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, for me personally, and you guys drop down in the chat and tell us what you think. What do you think, Roro? What do you think, Monique? Key, if you're still here, Kirby, what do you guys think? If you're not here and you come back, drop it in the comment section too, or leave me some purple hearts, please. I really think, yeah, I think that she seems like to me the kind of woman at this stage in her life right now, and she still has some of her youth and a lot of beauty. She seems like the kind of woman that, just from what I've seen, that she would leave him in a heartbeat for what she thinks is a step up, a step or two up. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he's a retired ball player. So for example, if a current ball player said, "Hey, come go with me," it seems like she might be the kind of girl that would say, "Oh, okay, all right, what you offering? Oh, I'm with you. All right, bye, bye, Dunbar. See you later."
Right.
This
And
is how it seemed to me. Now I don't know.
yeah. And if you know you play in these professional leagues, if you don't make it, you know, in NFL, if you don't make it 5 or 6 years, you get no pension. I think it's 5 years the cutoff. You know,
really? Okay.
yeah. Most NFL careers last 2 or 3 years because of the physicality of the game. You know, so. But I
Well, that
just,
Brady sure did play a long time. He's played over 20 years, hasn't he?
but he's a quarterback. They don't get hit as much. They don't deal with as much impact as other players, so they can play a little longer. You know, and he was very much protected by the officials and stuff in the league. That's a whole nother show. Yeah, that's a whole nother show.
I know Alex doesn't like my Mr. Tom Brady, but Mr.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, boy, I saw him play live here at Ford Field in Detroit. Woo, that man,
Yeah.
he something like next level otherworldly. Like to see him live, like it's like Barry Sanders. It's like Barry Sanders again, somebody that's next level otherworldly. Like not doesn't even seem like they're human. Like they are superhuman. Like for real, for real.
Now Barry, I agree with you 100%. That's my dude right there. There hasn't been a running back before or since him who ran like that and was that elusive as he was ever in history. You know, and I was so heartbroken when he retired so young. I wanted him to stay and play longer because I look forward to seeing him. You know.
Yeah, I did too. I think we know that was tied with the choices that the team made at the time. They were not
Yeah.
willing to let him go and release him to a better team because let's
No.
face it, Detroit Lions.
Yeah, they cursed. Yeah, they cursed. Yeah, they cursed.
That's my city, but I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I can tell you the real about it. The team, yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah,
Yeah. So,
but
but Dunbar and Chance,
mm-hmm.
again, just like with Otis and Shalon, we wish them well. Okay, but I do think the cards are stacked against them because they're not willing to do the work, and I think because Chance is so stunning to look at, because
She
she
is
is.
stunning. She is absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, it's easy to get lost in that beauty. It's easy to get lost in that beauty. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and not do the work thinking that the passion and the love and is going to sustain, and
Mm-mm.
it's not realistic.
No, it's not. But we gotta see though for because apparently looking forward to next week or this Friday episode, they are bringing in a new couple and I'm all for it. I'm all
I knew
for
they
it.
would.
Yeah, they're bringing in another couple and then also just seeing what's going to be going on because will Catherine be able to communicate better with her man Ricky, and will Joya be able to talk Jasha into really wanting a baby, another child, a baby, not another child but a baby. I
Yeah,
don't know. Like I think he's already in his 40s. I think, it's nothing wrong with having kids at 40, but I think for some people, when you've got a child already, you've had one or two kids and they're already growing, I think to start all over again sometimes it's kind of like, I don't know.
yeah, yeah. I know the feeling. Trust me.
Well, oh, you know what? Shut up. You love it. You love it. You love piggyback rides and all that crazy stuff. Yep. I know you're gonna be rubbing some ointment on you tonight too. So
Yeah,
a little private joke.
I'm telling you, unreal. But again, you gotta love it. But
Yeah.
I knew they would fill those seats. They wouldn't leave them seats empty the rest of the season. I knew they would fill those seats.
No, it's not even the same dynamic. I mean, even just this one session was good, but it's not the same dynamic without the third couple, right? You don't get the same
Right.
dynamic. You
Yeah.
need that third couple in there, and I see why they picked they set it up the way they did. Are you guys enjoying Dr. Stacy? You can say yes, you can say no, maybe so. Are you comparing her to Dr. Nicole? Do you miss Dr. Nicole, guys, in the chat? Let me know if you're watching this on replay. Let me know down in the comment section. Once again, if you want to just tell me that you watched it and enjoyed the video, say that. If you want to leave some purple hearts, red hearts, yellow hearts, whatever hearts. Purple are my favorite though. Leave
Right.
those down in the comments. We just really want to get you guys interacting more and more. And we thank you and appreciate you for being here. Alex, tell them briefly about your channel and what you got going on over there. Because I've been watching your shorts. Your shorts are going crazy. You're going
Yeah, the
viral.
shorts are going crazy over there. It's been helping a lot. You guys go over to Magnetic Repellent over here on these YouTube streets and go over there and subscribe and tell your family and friends. And I got to get myself on there and do some more of my original content as I had been, but so much has been going on. But I appreciate you guys for supporting us here and keeping me as part of you guys' life and so forth and being part of this community and this family. Also, IG AW Leaf 67 on Instagram, and Facebook is Alex W. Leith. So let's make it happen.
Yeah, let's make it happen. And we want to again thank you for being here, and thank our moderators, Monique, LNV, for coming through, showing up, moderating, putting the links in the chat. We appreciate you so much. We love you. We love you. Love you. Love you. And we gonna mosey on out of here. Say goodbye.
Take care. Love you guys. Peace.
See you in the next video, guys.